In this episode of the Protocols of Equal, we're going to take a closer look at the principle of social vices. Overview. Social vices are a valuable item or experience, a necessary and/or highly desirable aspect of a person's lifestyle, such as money, status, arms, and sex. These are the most influential aspects of the social side of society. Social vices act as inanimate, false kings. Sort of hidden rulers that don't take human form, yet do rule over human behaviors. How it affects people. People who have affluent amounts of social vices tend to be prosperous and/or influential in society. People who lack or have no amount of social vices tend to experience many hardships in society. Any person who is continually deprived of social vices over a certain period of time will wither. Let's find out why. This is the Protocols of Equal, an advanced technical framework with a scientific method to diagnose, adjudicate, assert, quantify, or teach equality. The Protocols of Equal can solve 90+% of societal inequalities. It is the most advanced equality framework on Earth. It is a core contributor in creating the equal side of society. The Express Solution. Honor the rule of sow and reap. Instill the rule of sow and reap in the hearts and actions of the people. Make sure it oversees all money, arms, and social networks. The Articulated Solution. Intelligently analyze each principle and clause with real-life examples. The Protocols of Equal is the engine that will drive society to an all-equal future. Social vices. Definition. A valuable item or experience, a necessary and highly desirable aspect of a person's lifestyle such as money, status, arms, and sex. Explanation. Things that we all deem as being important to our societal experience. These are controlled by our personal choices. Love and relationships, including sex. Money and financial connections, personal or professional networks are more examples. The sum of individual choices becomes the collective group choice. Thus, in turn once more, affecting individual choice. Social vices are the single most influential control mechanisms in society, individually and collectively. The socio-economic networks that control social vices are the ruling networks of society. Social vices affect personal and heartfelt choices, thus controlling the underpinnings of the personal side of society. They rule at a near undetectable level. Even when detected, it's challenging to change how social vices are controlled, as they are driven by personal choices, which are unregulated. Social vices do have a certain influence on the entire socio-economic architecture of society. Efforts are in place to quantify this level of influence. Problems. Hindrance of social vices are a symptom of inequity. This is likely to cause resentment and often leads to violence. Without the rule of sow and reap, inequalities are inevitable and usually spread in uncontrolled ways. Formal arms have almost no ability to combat inequities at this fundamental social level of personal choice. Thus, much inequalities often transpires at this subtle unregulated level. The relay in between group choice and moral individual choice is often infiltrated by parties with unequal motives. This infiltration is an effort to control the moral individual to accept what is usually a lesser intent, essentially coercing a moral individual to tolerate or support a borderline immoral action or situation. Causes. Social vices are often infiltrated by unequal philosophies, people and/or almshouses. Effects. Scapegoatism is commonplace at this subtle level of personal choices where there is often no moral authority. Unequal people tend to be adept at hedging ignorance on the basis of personal choices, while utilizing the aforementioned coercive methods. Thus, ignorance until affected is very commonplace within the social crowd. Solutions. Equal access to equal opportunities relating to social vices. Join the Equalist Agenda. It is specifically designed to significantly reduce the infiltration of social vices by unequal parties. Cross-reference. Rule of sow and reap, right of sow and reap, perpetual inequality, scapegoatism, hedging ignorance, and ignorance until affected. Individual example. Situation. A young man who is part of a very sexual culture is sexually deprived. He is average physically, mentally, and financially. In addition, he lives in an area that is sexually liberated. His sexual deprivation is not of his choice. He would like to increase his action in the bedroom. He usually resorts to adult entertainment and self-gratification, but that's not fulfilling enough. He then turns to sex workers. As fulfilling as the relatively short time span spent with the woman is, he realizes due to his budget he can only afford the sex worker once a month. Thus it doesn't really solve his constant desire to have sex several times a week. He gets so frustrated that one day tries to take his own life. Problems. Control of social vices. Sex is the most subversive social vice. Its control mechanisms are hidden and obviously unregulated as it is a personal choice. However, sex is highly influenced by other social vices such as money, arms, and status. In this case, due to a lack of money he could not regularly afford paid sex. Thus, he could not have regular sex either genuine or paid. A classic social vice. Causes. Unequal philosophy, and networks. Social vices are a natural desire. However, the controlled access to them are unnatural. Social vices often involve arms, either before or after acquisition. Effects. Scarcity, resentment, that often leads to occasional burst of violence. These acts of violence are sometimes lethal and hard to explain. Solutions. Equal philosophy and networks. Join the equalist agenda. Group example. Situation. A Christian church is located in a dangerous neighborhood riddled with gun violence. The church has a devout following. However, younger members of the congregation are increasingly approached by dangerous individuals in unwelcomed, abrasive ways. Notating that over the past few years there have been several violent, armed attacks on Christian churches, the congregation reluctantly decides to employ a full-time, armed security officer. Problems. The Christian philosophy is inherently peaceful, however the violence outside of its congregation have placed the devout Christians in a vice that they must free themselves from in order to be safe. A classic social vice involving arms. Causes. Unequal philosophy and networks. Unequal almshouses. Evil arms. Hateful people. Effects. Submission to unequal or evil philosophies is sometimes requested, or implied. The inevitability of questioning leadership and control structures. The likelihood of dissent or even violence. Solutions. Maintain equilibrium with the arms environment. Progressive dialogues leading up to honored treaties are recommended. If those options fail, then internal armed security is the last resort. In an unequal armed environment, outside of safety precautions, prayer is the only way to stop a bullet.